Brian, this story would have just been huge on its own, and then toss in the fact that the Cavs had Paul George basically on the team in a uniform, that they would have been the ones to win the Paul George, if you will, lottery by trading for him in a three-way deal that would have sent Kevin Love to Denver. So I ask you the question I asked rhetorically before you joined in the segment before, and that is, if Paul George had come, would Kyrie have wanted out, saying that he didn't want to play with LeBron anymore?
So here's I can't say what hypothetical, but here's what I can say. The Cavs really thought they were about to trade for Paul George for Kevin Love. The Pacers never thought they were going to agree to that deal. The Pacers would have traded Paul George to the Cavs for Kyrie Irving, but the Cavs didn't feel the need to offer, or they felt that they had to trade Kyrie Irving back then. Those are things that I can say with confidence. I think there's another possibility. What if the Cavs had traded Kyrie Irving for Chris Paul? If Kyrie Irving had made his feelings known, after the season, and they could have maybe tried to bring Chris Paul in, and instead of him going to Houston, and then maybe they could have used Kevin Love in a separate trade to do something else, whether it was for Paul George, Jimmy Butler, or somebody else. Is that possible? And again, I can't say that's a hypothetical. What I can say is Kyrie was frustrated after the season, but he never met with the Cavs to tell them how frustrated he was.
It seems that the Pacers had better offers, but they were all from Eastern Conference teams, and that is what trumped everything in their conversations and strategy about trading Paul George. Is that a fair assessment, Brian?
Okay, here's the gray area. If a team could have traded for Paul George and knew that they were going to be able to keep him, his value was going to be stronger. So if you're the Pacers and you're talking with the Cavs and they're offering Kevin Love essentially, and it was going to be a three-way trade with Denver where Love would get moved on to Denver. But if you were talking with the Pacers and the Pacers actually thought that Paul George was probably going to re-sign to stay with LeBron, then they would have wanted Kyrie Irving, because trading Paul George with 1 year on his contract has certain value. Trading Paul George within the division, somebody they'd have to compete with for long-term, is different value. And the Pacers felt that had they sent him to Cleveland, there was a good chance he was going to extend and stay with LeBron James. So that made it difficult to work out a trade, because the Cavs are making offers that we only might have him for 1 year. So on a 1 year rental, we're willing to give X. And so that's why it's hard to do this. The other thing is, and this is going to be important with Kyrie going forward, it's extraordinarily hard in the NBA to complete three-team trades. I'm already seeing people posting their three-team trades online like, oh, here's the three-team trade. The Knicks get this, the Heat get this, the Cavs get this. A three-team trade, Rich, is a no-team trade. A four-team trade is a pipe dream. So obviously they happen, but maybe 1 out of 1,000 three-team trade offers happen. And that was a three-team trade offer. It's really, really hard. But to get to the bottom line, if the Cavs knew that Kyrie Irving wanted to trade in June, and whether it was Kyrie's position or the Cavs' position that they didn't know that, forget about that. If they knew Kyrie wanted to trade before the draft, this offseason would have looked completely different for the entire NBA, because it would have changed the Paul George situation. It would have changed Jimmy Butler. It might have changed Chris Paul. It might have changed the Celtics, a whole bunch of things. So having said that, going forward, we could see a whole bunch of crazy things happen, including the Cavs making a trade, and I'm not saying this is likely, but it's possible. The Cavs making a trade that actually makes them more competitive against the Warriors. Maybe not with a player that's better than Kyrie, but maybe with a team that's more competitive. And maybe this trade that they're about to make keeps LeBron James long term. Maybe it drives him away, but maybe it keeps him, and that's why you got to watch the NBA.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that video, be sure to download our app, and I'll be sure to help the NFL figure out what a catch is.